We are entering the world of Ebola, where no faint heart dares tread. It is a world of pain and pity. With our camera carried by their medical team, and through layers of latex and protective plastic, MSF offers as best it can a human touch and care for the desperately ill. It is a highly contagious virus that can strip its victims of dignity. A barely responsive patient who has bled heavily after accidentally removing his own drip. Doctors apply pressure to staunch the flow. Just 2 weeks ago, this young man was in the prime of life. Now his life hangs by a thread. Some arrive already so consumed by Ebola that it might be too late to save them. Doctors are trying experimental drugs, untested in clinical trials because there's no alternative. Still, the death rate is more than 50%. The world has never been better prepared and armed with a battery of new drugs, better equipped to combat this disease. And yet Ebola continues to confound every prediction and every projection. It is still spreading. And still killing. A family has gathered to collect a body. Their grief is unrelenting and feelings are running high. We're asked to keep a distance. Instead, we watch as a young boy listens to the weeping and we try to guess what emotions are running through his head. His mother and 3 brothers have all died. He is, more or less, alone with his thoughts. Among his carers is a British doctor.
He has himself been extremely unwell. He was really wretched for a few days, feverish, in a lot of pain and with diarrhea and vomiting. And it's terrible to watch a young child go through that without their family around them. I think that's what's hardest.
Since August, this outbreak has rolled through the jungles of northeast Congo and has now arrived in Butembo, a ramshackle city of 1 million people. UN peacekeepers are testament to the constant conflict here. An election ahead deepens the fear of insecurity that hastens Ebola's progress.
That might have as a consequence that we are not capable of getting out, of chasing contacts, of continuing vaccination, etc. So that slows down our response, and that is obviously something that we are very worried about.
In villages Ebola has passed through, much misery remains. A single tear runs down a child's face as he remembers his mother. He tells me she was preparing his milk when her headaches began. Later the bleeding started, then swiftly came death. The family had fled the fighting, but had been destroyed by Ebola.
Ebola ndio inakuwa sasa kwa tena ya nguvu sana. Juu Ebola haingikuwa umbesei tukuna debure tu na mwanamke.
In the nearby city of Beni, Joshua looks over the wall that separates his nursery from his mother, who is fighting for her life in the treatment center next door. No one knows if he too will succumb, so only those who have survived the disease and cannot be reinfected can touch him. I pray to God he doesn't go through the pain I went through, his carer tells me. But there's no happy ending here. Before we leave, we learn Joshua's mother has died. He is now one of hundreds of Ebola orphans. At the MSF clinic, there's a leaving party. Hélène, now recovered, is returned to the outside world. To the land of the living. Even so, no one dares touch her. Such is the stigma and fear of Ebola. Still a one-word death sentence for far too many. John Ray, ITV News in the Democratic Republic of Congo. John Ray, News at 10 in the Democratic Republic of Congo.